started a series on stress. Last week, we started a series on stress. And we looked at our word stress. And I said that in the exams that you're preparing for, we do not consider sentence stress. So mainly you look at word stress and then emphatic stress. Are you with me? So today we would consider emphatic stress. In order not to waste our time, I would share my screen with you. Okay, can you see my screen, please? Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so we are treating emphatic stress today, emphatic stress in English. So when we say something is emphatic, what exactly are we saying? Basically, we are saying that it's the vocal point of discussion. So something is emphatic. Means that one is trying to call attention to a particular thing. Okay, so that is the nature of emphatic stress. Okay, for what we have here, I'll give you an explanation and definition will come later. Emphatic stress is also known as contrastive stress. You see the reason it is contrastive because we also use it to show contrast. Emphatic stress may be used in a sentence to compare, connect, or clarify things. So usually emphatic stress singles out the word that the speaker considers the most important. And in this case, even a function word may become stressed. So you have a sentence, and whoever the speaker is trying to drive home a point, trying to send a message across. What the speaker does is to stress a particular word that carries the message in the sentence. For instance, if I should tell you, I want you to look here. I want you to look here. I have stressed the word here because I am trying to call an attention to a place. Okay, maybe something is happening here and I'm calling somebody's attention to here and not there. Okay, so any word that is stressed in a sentence is always written in all capitals, in uppercase. That is the nature of emphatic stress in a sentence. Not on a syllable that has word stress. Whenever stress falls, it will normally fall on a syllable that has what? Word stress. In special occasions, however, words that are most often unstressed may receive stress, and those which are most often stressed may lose theirs. So what are these special conditions? Are you still with me? Hello? Hello, are you here?
Yes, yes.
All right. So the special conditions are,
sorry.
Okay.
Can you please go back to the first slide? I just want to see something in it.
Okay.
I can't.
What about now?
Okay.
Is there something you're trying to pick out from here?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to shed light on anything? Please always ask your question at any point.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, we can move on, right?
Sir, please 1 minute. Okay,
Okay,
yes.
you know what? I am going to send you this material.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just continue with the class. So in emphatic stress, any word can be stressed, as I said earlier, for emphasis, particularly when the speaker wishes to draw the listener's attention to it, or when he wishes to achieve some contrast between the word that receives the emphatic stress and another. Now let's look at some illustrations. Olu was the captain of the team. Now, which word is stressed in this sentence? Which word has the emphatic stress? Hello? Okay, in this sentence, you have was. Okay. So in this sentence, the word was, which most often is unstressed, is stressed here for emphasis. And the strong form was, rather than the weak form was, is used. In this example, the speaker is calling our attention to the fact that Olu is no longer the captain of the team. Can you see what we use emphatic stress to do? We basically use emphatic stress to call attention to a particular message we are trying to pass across. So if was is stressed in this sentence, it's simply calling our attention to the fact that Olu used to be the captain of the team, but Olu is no longer the captain of the team. Okay, that is the essence of stressing that weak, seemingly weak vowel word there to make it stronger. So the stress placed on words to pass a message across, to lay emphasis on the fact that Olu is no longer the captain of the team, but he used to be. All right, let's move on. In essence, whenever a word receives emphatic or contrastive stress, there is always a word in the context that contrasts with it. Example, we had fish for lunch. So if, for instance, in your exam, in let's say your WASSCE or your UTME English, you have a question like this: we had fish for lunch. The emphatic stress, the word stress here is what? Fish. That is where you have the emphatic stress. Now there would be an answer. There will be an answer that will have something that is contradicting fish. A word that is contradicting fish has to be in the answer. And yeah, so we can say, if you ask the question, for instance, did you have meat for lunch? I could then say, no, we had fish for lunch. And my emphasis is going to be on fish because we did not have what? Meat for lunch. And that's why you have the emphasis on what? On fish. That's what takes the emphatic stress. Because I am trying to emphasize the fact that it was not meat we took, but fish. So, did you have meat for lunch? No, we had fish for lunch. All right. So that is the nature of emphatic stress generally. In your answer, you find a word that is contradicting the word that is stressed in the question. The answer would have a word contrasting with the word that is stressed in the question. In this case, you have meat contrasting fish. So let's move on. So emphatic stress is the placement. Now, I'm trying to define it. I intentionally did not put the stress, the definition first, in order for us to gather pace. So emphatic stress is the placement of articulatory prominence or emphasis on a word in a sentence. Basically, you stress a particular word longer than other words in a sentence, okay, to lay emphasis on the word as a result of the message you're trying to pass across. So in responding to questions questions on the first in examinations, interrogative sentences will be provided as options. So I hope you got that. In responding to questions on emphatic stress in examinations, interrogative sentences, which means questions, will be provided as what? Options. The interrogative sentence that contradicts the emphasized word is the correct option. Let me take that again. You would have more like statements, and then options will be provided. 4 options. Of the 4 options, one is going to have a word that contradicts the emphasized word in the question. So you have 4 options that are questions that would have one word that will contradict the word that is capitalized in the question. All right, let's move on and see some examples. Okay. John's watch is made of gold. John's watch is made of gold. The emphatic stress is on the word what? Gold, right? Now, can you read out the options and then choose your answer based on our discussion so far?
Okay. Is John's watch made of silver? Whose watch is made of gold? Is John's necklace made of gold?
All right. So what will be your answer?
A.
Very good. Why would A be your answer?
Because the word emphasized there is good, and the odd. We're told in class that we should just choose the one that is odd.
Very good. Okay. So the question that has the odd option here is the first one, because other ones have what? Gold. And of course, the stress is not placed on any other thing but gold. So is John's watch made of silver? Then you say what? No. John's watch is what? Made of gold. So you must be able to answer a question with the statement that has been given. It's like you've been asked a question and you want to give an answer to it. Okay. So if John's watch, for instance, were to be made of silver, you simply say, yes, John's watch is made of silver. But in this case, it is not made of silver, it's made of gold. Now let's look at other options. Whose watch is made of gold? If John were to be stressed here, then option 2 may have been correct. But John is not the word that is stressed. What is made of gold? If watch here were to be stressed, you could then say John's watch, but it's not watch that is made of gold here, because watch, it is not the word watch that is stressed. Okay, so C cannot be the option. Is John's necklace made of gold? So once again, if the word watch had been stressed, the last option D would have been appropriate to say John's, no, John's watch is made of gold and not John's necklace. All right, very good. Let's move to the next question. So our answer is, as you said, option A. The next question. Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next question. Last week's football was very exciting. Last week's football was exciting. Now, could you read the options again and read your answer?
Okay. Was yesterday's football match very exciting?
Okay.
Was last week's tennis match very exciting? Match very dull or very exciting? The answer is C.
C. Why would C be your answer?
Because dull is contradicting exciting, and
Thank
it's
you.
the odd one.
All right. So really, so let's consider our answer.
Okay, sir.
So as you said, the correct option is what? C. Because the interrogative statement gives room for the speaker to re-emphasize the word exciting as a response to the question. Okay? So
Yes,
let's
sir.
move on very quickly to the next question. All right, here. The question may also take this format. Now let's look at this. She works at the hospital. She works at the hospital. All right, so we have 4 options here.
Okay. Who?
Oh, sorry. I may have to take this back. Okay. So
Who
here we
works?
have,
Okay. Who works at the hospital? Where does she work? Does she work at the hospital? What does she do at the hospital?
okay, so what's your correct answer? Sorry, your line is breaking. The answer is what?
D.
Okay, why is D the answer?
Because the word emphasized there is work, and the D is not, there's no works in the D. Is does she? So when you are asked what does she do at the hospital, you now say she works there.
Okay, thank you very much. So if it's in this nature, it is direct. You simply answer the question with the emphasized word. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next example. Okay, so the old man is a messenger. The old man is a messenger. Let's look at the options that we have. A, please read.
Who is the messenger? B, is the young man a messenger? C, is the old woman a messenger? D, is the old man a typist? The answer is D, is the old man a typist?
Okay, so once again, I know your response will still be the same. Okay.
Yes.
D, of course, is correct. As it answers the question focusing on the emphatic word. All right, so now I see that emphatic stress should not be a problem in your exams, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's really all I have for you today. It's pretty straightforward.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, do you have questions to ask?
Okay, sir,
Maybe on some other.
yes, like in that interpretation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sometimes the options are confusing. So I thought of just choosing the one that is odd there. Is it okay?
Well, questions on interpretation basically has to do with your understanding of the passage you must have read. Because it will be from a short passage you must have read, right? So you will be given a particular expression, maybe a long sentence, and then you'll be asked to interpret what you have read. And at this level, you have to bring your knowledge of explicit and implicit meaning to bear. Okay? Explicit meaning basically is the meaning that you can get on the surface, while implicit meaning is the meaning that is hidden that you have to infer. Okay? And most times, the expressions they would use are figurative expressions. They will not be plain expressions. They won't be denotative. They will use figures of speech. sometimes they give you idiom, okay, and they ask you to interpret. Okay, maybe what I will do is that one of these days I am going to teach on that so that when you come across such questions, you won't have to. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
The understanding of the question is very important to choosing your answer. All right, so I will do a class on that one of these days. Do you have any other question? Let's use the time we have. We have about 13 minutes left. So if you have questions, let's keep answering. Yes, I'm here.
So I will ask you next class if I should find a new one.
Okay. All right. So you don't have challenges on any of the topics that you are preparing for the exams, right?
No, for now.
Okay. Let me ask this final one. Which question, which topic do you find more challenging? What stress? In class?
No.
Okay. When I treated what stress in class, we have about 12 more minutes. Let me see if I can do a recap on what stress. Is that okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, so I'll share my screen once again. So let's look at what stress. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
I can see. Oh,
yes, sir.
Can you see it now?
yes.
Okay. So let's rush through it. Last week I said to understand what stress, it helps to understand syllables, right? And I said that every word is made from syllables. Each word has 1, 2, 3, or more syllables. Now, in a particular word that has more than one syllable, only a syllable would take the primary stress, right? Okay. Now, we gave these examples. The word dog has 1 syllable, green has 1, but for those words that hello.
I don't put
So what I would do is to go through, let me go through the rules of stress. So in English, we do not say each syllable with the same force or strength. In one word, we accentuate 1 syllable. We say 1 syllable very loudly, big, strong, important, and all the other syllables very quietly. So we took this example last week, the word photograph, okay? Now, in this word, photograph, for instance, it has 3 syllables, and the stress is on the first syllable, photograph. But then if you then had another syllable to photograph, okay, you add a suffix to it, becomes photographer, right? The stress moves to the next syllable, photographer. Okay, but basically, let us go to the rules of stress because of time. This will help you. Okay, please pay attention. As I said, 1 word, 1 stress. The stress is always on a vowel sound. Let's just quickly move to.
Stress is on a.
Okay, there is Please pay attention to this. Okay, the rules. Now, when you have a word that has 2 syllables, if that word is a noun, are you paying attention? If a word has 2 syllables, if the word is a noun, the stress is placed on the first syllable. If you have a word that has 2 syllables, if the word is a noun, the stress is placed on the first syllable. If the word is an adjective, the stress is placed on the first syllable. But then if the stress is on the second syllable, if the word is a verb, then the stress will be placed on the second syllable. And this is the rule.
Please, that thing is already full. It's not full.
Hello? Are you with me? Are you with me? Do you understand this particular first rule? Hello?
No, sir, I can hear you.
All right, I said if you have a word that has 2 syllables, it is a noun. In most cases, the stress will be on the first syllable. If the word is an adjective, the stress will be on the what? First syllable. If the word is a verb, the stress will be on the second syllable. Now you can see the examples that we have here. Okay? You have present. Okay? You have here, you have what? Present. Okay, present. Okay. Here you have present. Okay, because it's a verb. Export. Decide. Okay. Any verb that has 2 syllables has stress on the second syllable. Now let's move rules. Now this is another rule. Any word that ends with IC, are you paying attention? Any word that ends with IC, SION, TION, we have the stress on what we call the penultimate syllable, which means the syllable before the last syllable. And you have examples here: graphic, geographic, geologic. Okay, so the stress is always on the penultimate syllable when you have a word that has more than 2 syllables that end in IC, SION, TION. That's a standard rule. Is that okay? Now let's move on to another rule. What's the end in CY, TY, PHY, GY, especially words that end in YYY and they are polysyllabic. Okay, we have their stress on the penultimate syllable. Now, when we say penultimate, we mean that the syllable before the last one. Now, when penultimate, it means the syllable before the syllable. In this case, the penultimate syllable here in democracy is CRA. Okay, so is what? Okay. In they also have photography, because these words end in PHY or Y essentially, you have the stress antepenultimate, which means third syllable from the end. The same thing goes with words that end in AL. Okay, the stress will be on the third syllable from the end. In this case, you have critical. Now, because it ends in AL, you see the stress is on the first syllable because first syllable is the third syllable from the end. And in geological, you have the stress on the third syllable from the end. That's a standard rule. Now, when you have compound words, 2 words put together to form what? A compound word. The stress is always on the first syllable. When you have a compound word, two words put together, the stress is always what? On the first syllable. Okay, that is how it works. But then, okay, let's look at, so basically for word stress, all you need to do is to get yourself familiar with the rules, because there are rules. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Once you are familiar with the rules, you have no problem. Okay, so based on the rules that we have looked at, let's try to answer some of these questions. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. The very first question, can you pass me a plastic knife? The word plastic is the word that we are considering. Which syllable will be stressed in the word plastic? First or second?
The first one,
Why is it the first one?
because this is the penultimate rules, and you said it comes before the word I see.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the stress will be on the penultimate syllable, right?
Yes, sir.
At the same time, this is a word that has two syllables. And I told you that if it's an adjective, the stress will be on the first syllable. Okay.
Yes.
So this word is an adjective, the stress is still on the first syllable. That is how it works. So those rules don't contradict most times. Okay, whichever way you look at it, the stress is still on the first syllable. Now let's move to the second one. I want to take a photography class. So the stress will be on which syllable?
The second one,
Why is it the second one?
because photography. Because it's a
Not altogether. Don't forget that the rule that says that if a word ends in phy or y, essentially, okay, the stress will be on the antepenultimate, the syllable that is third to the last. Okay, that is why it's on. So here, what syllable takes the stress?
I said one word, one syllable. So, and you said if you say now, is the first word.
I can't decide which book to borrow. The stress is on the side table.
This.
Thank you, because the word is what? A verb, and it has two syllables. That's it. Now this one, do you understand this lesson?
Yes, sir. But sir, I was not the one that asked the question.
Well, we are simply trying to answer question 5. And it says, do you understand this lesson? So the stress is on understand. Where do you have the stress?
Let me say understand. So the on.
Okay, now let me give you another rule. It is a standard rule that a prefix and a suffix cannot take stress. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if you look at this word understand, you have a prefix, right?
Yes.
Okay. Under there is a prefix. The main word there is what? Stand.
Stand.
That is why I stand with, okay. So that is another way to decide. If you have a word and the word has prefix and suffix, all you need to do is remove the prefix and suffix and what is that okay? So that's
But
another rule.
you said if it's a compound word, it's on the first stress, under and stand. Yes.
Okay. For instance, if we say blackboard. Okay. But in this case, under does not is not a grammar. Okay, it's a preposition. So the stress will always be on the functional word. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So let's move to the next example. Sparky is a very happy puppy. Stress on happy. So which takes the stress? First or second? Okay, this why?
Because it ends with PY.
Okay. Maybe not really that, because if it ends with PY, the stress should be on the third syllable before the end, and you have two syllables there. In this case, you apply the rule that says that if you have a word with two syllables that is an adjective, the stress should be on the word first syllable. This is an adjective, happy. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
We have less than 1 minute. We have to bring this class to a close. All right. So we would continue with another topic next week.
Thank you, sir.
So all you need to do is read up the rules and you'll be fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay. The program is open to sponsorship.